There are more ways to build a lifestyle and a work life around your needs and your desires than we realize, whatever our life circumstances are. If you have the ability, if you have a laptop and a good internet connection, even if it's just off your phone, there's a whole world of opportunity out there that most people in all over the world are oblivious to. Like you mentioned, your brother in Ireland, people would not think of him in being in a similar situation to a lot of people here in Kenya. But again, it just comes down to lack of awareness.
Want to discover new parts of the world while filling the pet-shaped hole in your heart? House-sitting website Trusted House Sitters gives you the chance to live as a local in over 130 countries, opening the door to a world of travel possibilities. And with thousands of pets looking for caring sitters like you every day, there's no doubt you'll discover the perfect travel opportunity with the perfect travel companion. Whether you want to wake up in a Spanish beach condo with a cat or a high-rise apartment in New York City with K9 Company, house sitting allows you to see the world in a new way. And not to worry if cats and dogs aren't your thing. Trusted House Sitters has pets of all shapes and sizes, from alpacas and horses to rabbits and hamsters. Find out more about house sitting and unlock a whole year of unlimited sits with adorable pets by visiting trustedhousesitters.com or download the Trusted House Sitters app on the Apple or Google Play Store.
Welcome to the Digital Nomad Cafe podcast, the show where we discuss what it takes to create a sustainable long-term online business in today's fast-moving environment. We talk with industry experts and freelancers alike to find out what it takes to build and manage a location-independent business.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Digital Nomad Cafe podcast. I'm here today with Conor, an Irish freelance writer currently living and traveling around Africa and promoting it as a travel work destination for digital nomads. Conor, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
So, Conor, you've worked as a ghostwriter. Your content's been published on, The Guardian, BBC, Forbes, Bloomberg. We met many, many moons ago, far away in a little island called Koh Tao in Thailand. And at that time, you were working in the hostel, isn't that correct?
Yeah, I was a professional hostel bum. I think that was my first hostel job, and then I've done many actually in the years since, before doing the ghostwriting.
And that was, you were just looking to travel, and a really good way to travel is to actually go and work in hostels. This is something I was only talking to my own brother about recently, but hostels are, if you work for a couple hours a day, you can get your you get your room and board and your food and everything else, and it's a great way to meet people. So that was what you were doing over in Thailand, is that right?
Yeah, so I got that job just by accident, but I'm on board with everything you said. Like, I was 23 when I got that job, and I tell everybody that I meet that if you have the opportunity at some point in your early 20s, not your late 20s, because at that point you're a bit too old for the lifestyle.
You cop on.
But in your early 20s, if you have the opportunity to work in a hostel, and there's so many websites and avenues and ways to do it for 6 months or more, like you learn so much about just interacting with people, about travel, working. I really came out of my shell. I got used to hosting and promoting, and I had a lot of fun doing this, obviously. Like, you don't think of it as a job when you're doing it. And then it was only years later that I realized the opportunities that opened up years after that job and other hostel jobs that I've had. For instance, my first job in Africa, where I am now, was managing 2 backpacker hostels. That never would have happened if I hadn't just offered to give like 5 to 10 hours a week, helping people check in, tidying the room, selling their beers, taking them out to party. And yeah, the biggest asset is the people I meet, the people you do meet. Like, I met you, as you said, I think you were working online pretty successfully at that point, and you sat me down and you introduced me to WordPress, and you showed me a theme and all the basics of SEO, Google Analytics. You introduced me to Niall Doherty, who's a mutual friend of ours and has become a really big mentor of mine, who actually indirectly got me my current ghostwriting job all these years later. And that set me on a path that has, it's just changed the trajectory of my 20s. I'm 30 now, so that's 7 years later.
That was it. Yeah, I mean, it was six years ago when we were on Koh Tao. At that time, I remember because my girlfriend was pregnant and I was over there. My two friends were helping to run the hostel as well. So, but I was, yeah, like you said, I was doing a lot of SEO for people, freelance writing back then, and you were probably the only person there who was interested in learning a bit more about it. And I was more than happy to sit down with you and share with you, like, this is what I do, this is how I do it. You were, you know, a man after my own heart in terms of you just wanted to travel. No, but like that was the reason I got into it. I was like, oh, I don't want to stay in one place. I want to be able to travel and work online. And to me, that was like, okay, what can I do? I'll be a writer. Well, I mean, I can learn how to be a writer. Like, of course you can. It's just practice, you know. And sales, you know, that becomes a big part of it. Like you said, Niall referred you a client. A big part of it becomes how good are you at selling yourself. So can we talk a little bit about how you managed to get your first clients as a freelance writer?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we're jumping ahead quite a bit, but I'd always played with the idea and I would try and work in any kind of skill that I could do online. I'd try and work that into offline jobs. So if I was managing a backpacker hostel, for instance, I'd get involved in the social media, the website, the promotion, that kind of thing. Just kind of building those skills little by little without like pushing very hard. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to do the timeline in my head without making it too complicated. So basically, last year, 2018, I was working at a mental health startup where I finally got to use a lot of these skills and develop them and really actually start putting them into practice. And then after a few months there, after about a year, I phased out of that into more of a kind of informal advisory role. And on the back of that, I started putting together a portfolio website. They referred me to a few people because they knew the kind of work that I was looking for now, that I was more free and that it wouldn't conflict with my schedule with them. And then I think it was just a case of, one, at the time I had just moved to Bansko in Bulgaria. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners are starting to probably hear about Bansko, and co-working Bansko is a very fast growing digital nomad destination in Europe. So I had been a member of the co-working space a couple of months, and my main job was winding down. I was looking for clients. So I think I posted on my Facebook. I made like a graphic on Canva of all the things that I knew that I could do online and put it out there that if anybody needed any help with their business, these are all the areas that I can help. I got a couple of job offers from that actually through friends, and then I got a lot of feedback about how the way I had presented my, let's say, value proposition was way too generalist, and that I would need to narrow down and specialize in something. And one of my friends who runs a content marketing agency needed a ghostwriter to do interviews with his clients, like transcribing them and creating a narrative out of them. So I did a couple of pieces for him, and that was going pretty well, but he was just starting out, so there wasn't much work involved, or much work coming my way, I should say, sorry. And then at the same time, so we've already mentioned Niall Doherty. Niall had a course that he did, that he built a few years ago, and I joined that when I was in Uganda in 2017, because I knew I wanted to start transitioning out of hospitality work. And part of that course was a Facebook group that he runs that has been it's been a really important community for me. So that's called Freedom Business Builder. And I'm in that group nearly every day, just seeing what people are posting. It's really active and it's really supportive. I actually, before the interview, posted in something for feedback, asking for feedback, and I got like really good insight after about 15 minutes of posting it.
But that's the beauty. The beauty of these Facebook groups is, you know, I'm a member of quite a few of them as well, and Exactly, for that. It's about having a positive community of people who are interested in similar things, who can help you when you need a little bit of help, like be it SEO, be it online, be it something, be it a bit of support, maybe you're feeling a bit down, you've had a couple of rejections in terms of pitching and freelancing, and sometimes, you know what I mean, you just a bit of camaraderie around, like, that's okay, we've all had the shit sandwich, let's just get back at it again, and that's the power of communities. And Niall has created a solid little community there at the Freedom Business Builders on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, so anyway, just to summarize, so then Niall posted, my client reached out to him, I don't know how they know each other exactly, and said, if you know any writers with experience in tech, let us know, and, tell them to get in touch with us. So I did, and at that time, I'd written about workplace mental health, technology, startups, co-working spaces, just little bits here and there. And I was able to put that together enough to have like a miniature portfolio. And then I just did a test article for them, and it went well. And I was just doing product reviews for a while, but I was very proactive about I liked this client, I like working for them. And I could see they had a lot of work. Like it's a very high authority website, the people I work for.
Yeah, I mean, those are the sort of websites that need constant, updated content that's of a high quality. So these affiliate marketers who build authority websites, which I think me and I did an entire episode on that. I'll make sure to link to it in the show notes for anyone who wants to know more about what an authority site is. So.
Yeah, so this website in particular, I'm writing about data privacy and data security, and they earn affiliate income off selling products related to this industry. So you can imagine at the moment, like especially the times we live in these days, that that's a fast moving industry, and there's always changes and there's always developments. So yeah, little by little, I just built up a relationship with them. And then about 3 months in, because I've only been doing this for, I think, 7 months in now. About 3 months in, they asked me to drop all my other clients and work for them exclusively. And then to guarantee this, we worked out a better rate and compensation so that I wouldn't have to spend any time prospecting, and that I'd be secure in this contract to know that they're not going to turn around in a month and say, actually, we've changed our mind, and then all the clients are dropped to work for these people I can't get back. So yeah, that was, there was a whole process involved, like much longer to explain it. But to kind of summarize and answer your question, I would say the two biggest assets I had starting out was just being part of two communities offline in co-working Bandsco, and just having that supportive community of people who are much further along their journeys than me, who could kind of guide me and, throw a bit of work my way when I needed it. And then also the online community that Niall has built at Freedom Business Builder.
Okay, so summarizing that, it was the communities that you were involved in online, getting a little bit of strategic guidance from people a bit further along on their journey, and the Facebook groups that you're a part of that help to, initially get you those clients and grow your freelance revenue. So can we talk a little bit now about, I know you run a website called nomadafrica.co. So what made you decide to start promoting digital nomad travel in Africa? How did that come about?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier, my first two jobs here in East Africa was managing two backpacker hostels in 2017. So the first one was in Kampala in Uganda, which is just next door to Kenya. And then I was managing another one here on the coast of Kenya for a few months. And at this point, I was well aware of the digital nomad lifestyle. I've been living in Thailand. I met you guys, Niall, all of these people. I knew a lot about what digital nomads look for and where they like to travel, their concerns and their preferences and what they need and everything. And the more time I spent in East Africa, I came to realize two things, which was one, everything that I been raised to believe about sub-Saharan Africa through media portrayals, through the likes of, you're Irish, growing up in the 90s, I feel like our perspective of this continent is defined by Bob Geldof and Bono and their constant berating Irish people and European governments for not doing enough to save this continent from itself, realizing just how inaccurate, for want of a better word, that was, and how misrepresentative of the truth it is and how oversimplified. And then just little by little, I've just fell in love with this region and the people and everything. Just is so much, I don't want to say like there's so much potential because that sounds really patronizing, but there's just so much happening here. And aside from the natural beauty and everything, you learn very quickly about the spirit and the character of the people growing up like in these regions. And then just how their perspective is on solving the problems that they're presented with every day, the fun that they inject in everything that they do, even if that's a really serious social issue. Like the sense of humor that you find in Kenya, especially, is just infectious. So I went through this whole thing like many people who travel here do, and it's a huge cliche, but it's true, of just your whole perspective of Africa gets completely turned upside down and it gets under your skin. And even though I left, like I had a contract to start in the UK, you never really you leave a little bit of you behind. So I really just fell in love with this region and everything that was happening here and the people I met and the entrepreneurship scene and the creative scene here. And then I also realized on top of that there's huge potential for people who work online to travel here more. And very few people do, but it is East Africa is getting on people's radars, which I know myself just because, as you said, like I have the website and I have the Facebook group that I run. So I get people actively looking, remote workers like me who have actually taken the step to come here and learn more about it and can answer their questions and can answer their concerns.
So let's talk to that a little bit. Like you mentioned just before the call, I mean, in Kenya, how many co-working spaces is there in the city of Nairobi where you are currently, roughly?
Yeah, so Nairobi is the capital of Kenya, and I think last time I counted, there's about 30 co-working spaces here in a city of about 4 million people. But aside from the co-working spaces, I mean, every restaurant, every coffee shop has sockets and fiber optic internet and 4G plus. Like the infrastructure here for working online is one of the best I've seen anywhere in the world. And I've traveled enough that I feel comfortable saying that. And aside from the co-working spaces, I mean, people ask me about reliable internet here. One of the spaces I work from is next to the African headquarters of Oracle. Facebook is just down the road. Microsoft have an office in a co-working space that I've worked from. The Google have a presence here. MasterCard are here. So aside from me just, managing my WordPress website and my Facebook group and doing my ghostwriting for my clients who have don't even know that I'm here really, because they don't mind where I am so long as I'm online. They've never had an issue with trying to get in touch with me. I've never had an issue with uploading my various assignments to them. But aside from just me as a solo entrepreneur working from a laptop, the fact that you have so many big name multinational companies working out of this city is the best testimonial I can give to just how well built the infrastructure for working online here is. And then, well, that's very high level, obviously. On the ground, when you're in these co-working spaces, you meet just the most fascinating people working on just amazing, weird, exciting, innovative projects based around art, marketing, social impact, anything you can really think of. That, like, the person next to you, you just get chatting to them and you've just learned, within 5 minutes, you've learned about a whole kind of social issue that you were never really aware of before, be it poverty or human rights or whatever. And then some innovative tool that they've built that has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people around the world that up until that moment you were oblivious about. And when you sit and you have these conversations with these kinds of people, it's rarely boring. And you just learn a lot just from being in this environment the whole time.
And there is a good community in terms of there's meetups happening and there's stuff happening all the time. I imagine in a city of 4 million people. I mean that's the population of Ireland in the city. So I imagine.
Yeah, they never believe me when I tell them that. But yeah, man, I can't keep up with the social activities that I could be doing if I really wanted to. Like we were saying before the call, the biggest for me, I mean, I was telling you all about the hospitality work I've been doing, spending my 20s working in teams in hospitality and startups and that. I was always surrounded by people while I was working. And now I've gone to the complete opposite, where my entire business is run off Google Hangouts and, the entire G Suite.
Google Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically Google.
Yeah, essentially. So for me, that's very important, that when I do close my laptop in the evenings and at the weekends, that I can easily meet people. And yeah, Nairobi, I mean, it's a very international city, and Kenyans themselves are they're very clued in to everything that's happening in the world. So as soon as you meet people and they learn where you're from and what you're doing, it's very easy to make instant connections. And then there's loads of meetups and events, live music, art galleries. It's summer here, I'm saying in inverted commas, because I mean they have different seasons, but this is like this summer season in Nairobi at the moment. So there's lots of events running. The co-working spaces all have networking and meetup events. I'm actually running one myself tomorrow. While we're recording this tomorrow, it will have happened by the time it goes live. Yeah.
It'll have been in the past for anybody who's listening.
Just in case anyone's in Nairobi and thinking about coming for a drink, I probably won't be here because I'm moving in January. But yeah, so I mean, for me, it just has the whole package. And then it's in a European time zone. My clients work in European time zones, so there's no disruption there. I'm not going to say it's a utopia for remote workers and digital nomads. Obviously, there's issues like there is everywhere. But I think for me, it's probably the most underrated place that I've worked online for within the general digital nomad community.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's good to get somebody on who's over there and, actually, like I say, actually doing it and living it. And, you're going to intro me to a couple of entrepreneurs who are based over there, who are, from Africa, and we'll get them on to talk about, being a freelancer in Africa. And, I understand that it's not as easy for some of them to, travel as maybe it is for us with an Irish passport. It's every country has its limitations. So if you're a freelancer from certain countries, of course you may be limited into what you can do, but we're here to promote the working online, running online businesses. So at least so long as you have good internet, good connection, you can join these communities, you can network with people, and hopefully just create the lifestyle that you want for you and your family. At the end of the day, that's all we're trying to help people do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned it to me when we were chatting online before the interview last week. I think the flip side of that as well is, as you and I and a lot of people listening to this enjoy a great degree of freedom that we do take for granted. I don't mean to start getting preachy about it or anything. When you're in a society where they don't necessarily have those freedoms. Fortunately, the good thing about Kenya is you can travel somewhere completely different every weekend, and you've not even left the country. I mean, there's beautiful beaches, safari, mountains, everything else. So you can still travel within your local region very well, regardless of your passport. But it is, so everything I said about for digital nomads coming down here being a very underrated destination. On the flip side of that, for people working in this region, they have so many attributes and skills and abilities and the infrastructure to access the online marketplace, jobs marketplace, and the benefits, like everything you said. I mean, it's not just about living out of a backpack and traveling the world constantly. There's the freedoms that it gives you. Like, I mean, for instance, you have a daughter, as you said, you're a lot more settled than I am, but working online.
I still travel a fair bit, but I definitely don't gallivant around. But not that you have to. Yeah, like, I mean, as you progress through life, your priorities change and you may become more settled. We've looked at maybe moving to Spain in the future, but I would be settled there. I wouldn't be moving around cities in Spain. It'd be like similar thing, just going, yeah, but it's about that freedom that it gives you the opportunity to be able to do that while not removing your income. Like, that's the key thing we're taking away here. Like, when we met originally, as we said, you were working in a hostel in Thailand. You didn't really have any way to make money at that time, and you learned about online, just working online. And this is a message that you've become passionate about promoting, and traveling is something you're very passionate about. So, and you love Africa and you love traveling around Africa. So you've kind of been able to tie all these things together where you could go, travel, work there, get involved in the community while also building up your business, and your freelance writing, your online skills. And it's a constant journey. You're always looking to improve your skills and build, websites and assets and online businesses that can benefit you for the long run. It's not just a do once and forget sort of a thing. It's about the long play, the long game, and that's where it's inspiring to hear what you're doing.
I left Ireland 8 years ago, nearly 9 years ago now, and people are always shocked by that alone, because I've probably spent maybe 3 months of that time actually in Ireland since, on return trips. But what people are more surprised by is the fact that I only really started working online about it, like, in the last 12 months full time. So I've found ways, to get by, before I decided to switch fully remotely. Now, obviously, I've been able to do that because I have one of the best passports in the world. But if I've taken anything away from the journey I've been on, both figuratively and literally, is, kind of like you were saying, that there are more ways to build a lifestyle and a work life around your needs and your desires than we realize, whatever our life circumstances are. If you have the ability, if you have a laptop and a good internet connection, even if it's just off your phone, there's a whole world of opportunity out there that most people all over the world are oblivious to. Like you mentioned, your brother in Ireland, people would not think of him in being in a similar situation to a lot of people here in Kenya. But again, it just comes down to lack of awareness. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned over the last few years, meeting people like you, however long ago, startup founders, CEOs, freelancers, all of these things, people making money in ways that you just can't imagine exist until you see someone doing them. Let's just sum it up, when you have a laptop and an internet connection, a proactive mentality and an understanding of how to look for opportunities, a lot more end up presenting themselves.
Absolutely. Look, I totally agree. Been playing this game for a long time.
Yeah, we both have.
And I'm hugely passionate about it. And look, offering a service. So just to kind of, come to a recap here, that one of the easiest way to get started online, making money online to help fund your travels, or to do as a side hustle or a side business on top of your job, if you want to build towards this, is to offer a service. It's not build this big website that makes money. It's not do affiliate marketing. Like, one of the quickest, easiest ways is offer a service. So what that is depends on you and your skill set, and what it is you're passionate about. I pay a guy to do Excel stuff. It's like, and he's a wizard with Excel, whereas it breaks my heart to go into Excel.
Yeah.
But the point being that, there's so many, we were talking previously, there's a dude on Fiverr that we've seen, and he sets up your Facebook business page and he charges like 80 quid. It's ludicrous. To me, that's mental. But you know what? fair play to them. I'll each to their own, and but there's so many. So if you're looking for ideas, if you're listening to this and you're not sure, you're like, I don't know, maybe you don't feel like you're a writer. Okay, you don't have to do writing. You can get nifty with Canva. You could do, you know what I mean? Like you can do there's these softwares that you can do these little video snippets for podcasters and reach out to podcasts. Like there's so many different ways that you can offer a service and get your foot in the door, and just get started. And that's one of the most important things, is to just, if you want to get started, offer a service, join relevant communities. Facebook is great. Medium and Quora are very good as well. Answering questions there can drive traffic to, even if it's like, you don't need a website. You can just be your Facebook profile. Like you're saying, like, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just like, have your profile, but have your image optimized to whatever you do, and engage and send people there, and make sure it's very clear what you offer, and just keep doing it. Keep your nose to the ground, and just keep plowing on.
Yeah, and I'd say just find out what people need as well. Like this guy in Fiverr with the Facebook business page, I'd imagine he probably I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong, but did a bit of outreach, found out, a lot of people have businesses but aren't on Facebook, have no interest to be on Facebook, but they appreciate that they need one and just don't have the time or the interest to learn how all of that works. So they're going to pay someone to do it. And you just have to be that person. And it can be anything, like you said. I mean, for me, I started out because a couple of friends needed to outsource their writing. I was able to do it, but I could have, there's 100 other things I could have done for people if they had identified that as a need that was a need that they had. And a lot of people, I feel that if you present it in a way that you're very open and honest, and you just say, look, I am trying to learn something new. I'd like to earn a little bit of extra income because I want to travel a bit more, or support my family, or just learn a new skill because it's great to learn a new skill. And you put the word out there, someone will pick up on that and say, okay, I might not actually even need somebody to do this for me, but if you're interested, I'm happy to give you the opportunity to learn. And then if you can pick it up quickly and you can learn how to do it and you do it well, you can just ask that person, like, okay, well, do you know anybody else who might need this service? And little by little, you just build those blocks. And then eventually you can go onto Fiverr or wherever and start doing that for people who you've never met before.
That's it. You got to build that momentum, but first you got to sharpen your skills. Conor, look.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. All I'd say is I'm not a great writer. Like, I am functional. I can do it. I write reports. They're very dry. They're not very creative. They don't take a lot of effort. I'm going to say, although hopefully my client won't hear that and fire me. But you know what I mean? Like, the work I do is very functional, but it fulfills a need that they have. And that being so supports a lifestyle that I enjoy and I look forward to building upon in the new year. And if I can do that, just learning everything that I did from Facebook groups and from people like you and from blogs and YouTube and Google, then I think almost anybody could.
Look, Conor, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure to catch up with you after all these years and hear how everything has progressed. I'm delighted. I'm genuinely delighted, like, to be able to have helped to plant that little seed that led to something all these years, from swinging in a hammock in Thailand. Go, why are you always on your laptop? It's like, this is work to me, man. You're like, what do you mean it's work? How do you make money out of that thing?
Yeah, as I said, you and Niall, the opportunity to actually talk to you guys about these things now, for me, like, it's kind of gone full circle now, and that's a nice feeling. And I'll always be grateful for the two of you for giving me that guidance all those years ago.
No problem at all. Conor, so look, for all our listeners tuned in, where could they find you online? What's the best places to get in touch with you?
Honestly, I'm not that active online, but the best place is if you just go onto the Facebook group, join the Facebook group, Nomad Africa Community, and I'm sure I'll send you the links and everything.
Yeah, I'll make sure everything is linked in the show notes anyway. So that's if people do have questions about if they're looking to travel to Africa, go and work online, take a couple of months, that's the place where they can.
We talk about everything in the group. I think recently we were discussing the best payment platforms for online businesses. So that's universal. I mean, it doesn't have to be about traveling in Africa. If you're just starting out and you want some advice, well, we're pretty active. We're happy to answer any questions you have.
Amazing. Thank you. And thanks to all the listeners for tuning in.
Thanks, Adam. Take it easy.
Thank you for listening to the Digital Nomad Cafe podcast. Head over to the website to access the resources and links mentioned in today's episode at digitalnomadcafe.com.